Today we talk podcasting with a friend who has her own NFL podcast. Background noise, the Henson Family Podcast starts right now. Hey there, everyone. Thanks for listening, whether it be intentional or by accident. We appreciate you listening. My name is Steven, and from a Henson family perspective, I am flying solo today, but that's okay. We have a guest with us today, which is perfect for this topic that we're going to be talking about tonight, and that's podcasting. And with us, we have Lacie of Lacie's Lineup. Hey, Lacie.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We go back at least 10 years, probably.
Way back to the 12-year-old volleyball
the
days.
volleyball days, yeah. And I think in some form or fashion, whether it be head coaching or assistant or doing clinics or something, you probably coached all three of our girls.
I did.
And, yeah. And
it was amazing. I loved coaching. I was hoping I was going to see them tonight, you know?
Well, they're actually coaching tonight. So
that makes sense.
Anna's back in PA, and Audrey and Angela are both at their club practices tonight. So actually we recorded an episode this past weekend while Anna was in. Since we had the whole family in, we talked about our journey into club volleyball. And one of the favorite moments that was brought up by Anna was her last year, her 14th year, being the first team from Lone Star Volleyball Club to medal, and you were the head coach of that team.
I was. That was an exciting time. And actually, back then, I feel like some microphones were involved as well, right?
Yeah,
we were doing
some. I knew that was going to come up. Yeah, maybe that's for a later episode or something. My failed media projects, I guess.
No, it was great though. I felt like, I got interviewed after every game. I felt like really good, so it was good.
Yeah, it was. Okay, we'll just move on from that one. But you and I have stayed in touch via Facebook.
Yeah.
And here we are, our paths cross again, but in the podcasting world. So for all those out there, I'll just say that our family podcast may have never launched without Lacie's Lineup, without your podcast. So I don't know if I'll kind of share this with you as well as everybody else. So we had talked about doing a podcast for, a couple of years, or not actually a podcast, but we always talked about how we thought we would be entertaining as a reality show if people followed us around. And I'm sure everybody thinks that of their own family, but we always had funny stories to tell of stuff that's happened to us in the past. And, whenever we're on road trips and things like that, we would always, hey, do you remember this? Remember when we did that? And we thought, what if we did a podcast? Some of these stories we think other people would think would be funny. And we could also treat it as some sort of audio diary to get it recorded. And so that, I've got a grandkid now. When little Eden gets a little bigger and she can listen to some of the stories of Mimsy and Poppy and some of the stuff that we did and some of the stuff that her mom did. And so, we just wanted to kind of get some of that stuff. And so now doing a podcast requires a minimal amount of equipment. You can do it as cheap as just recording something on your phone and then uploading that file to, a host and stuff. But I'm one of those type of people. I like gadgets. And so I had my eye on this audio mixer, and had been watching it for several months. And so it finally went on sale just before Christmas. It was $100 off. So I pulled the trigger and bought it, and we got all our gear in December of 2022. So we played around with all this stuff for over, 22, almost a year.
Almost a year, yeah.
Yeah. And, we're doing the voice effects and calling people and playing the dorky sound effects and stuff like that. But we just never sat down and did a podcast. We kept telling Angela, hey, we need to sit down and do this. And she would say, yeah, we need to do that. Well, August 25th, I went back and looked. Okay. You did a Facebook post announcing the Lacie's Lineup podcast. And I was like, no, that was my idea. And I was like, man, what's, you know, okay, great for Lacie, but, I've just been here wasting, spinning my wheels. And so that kind of lit a fire under me. And, I think we launched ours in February. Still had to work through some stuff, and you were a great help in answering a lot of questions I had on how to get set up and stuff. So let me pose the question to you. So how did the idea to do a podcast? How did the idea to do a podcast come about for you? Was it something sudden, or did you sit on it forever or for a long time like I did, or how'd that come about?
So I didn't really sit on it for a long time. I didn't really know what avenue I was going to go into, like as far as podcasting, but I was the girl that always talks sports. I'm the girl that's in the living room with all the husbands watching the football game while the girls are in the kitchen talking about something. And the more that I would talk, everyone's like, why are you not doing something in sports? Like, I have not seen a girl be this knowledgeable in the NFL. I'm just like a I just love the sport. So it's so passionate to me and I follow it. And of course, I root for my Cowboys, but I see the past. Like, it's just something that I love. And the more I started talking about it and the more people kept saying, hey, why are you not like in it? I mean, I went to school for communication,
Hmm.
sports broadcasting. I mean, that
Okay,
was my goal.
this is right up your alley.
Yes. Well, you would think we'll get, as the questions go on, you'll see why there was a struggle there. But I just love to do it. And that's always been my dream to do something like this. And luckily, we're in, the 2000s to where podcasting is a big thing. And I'm like, you know what? This is something I can do and I can just it's fun. It's passionate. Like I can just sit here and talk sports and if people listen, they do. If they
Yeah.
don't, I'm still having a good time. So I did decide to do it in the spring, but I waited till August to announce it because I wanted it to be the start of the football season.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to go right when football started, which is the first week of September.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, we sat on ours. Like I'm still kicking myself because we have so much fun doing these, and
Well, it's funny when you said like because I've known you for so long and I've known all your daughters and the stories that you would just tell me and, Amy would tell me and just your girls, like you guys have the best stories. So you should share it
that's
with the world.
I've
It's
got a
been
we've got
great.
a whole list of stories that at home in a spreadsheet that we're like, okay, we need to add that one to an episode and add this one to an
Yeah.
episode. But I'll also say that podcasting or technology in general has gotten so much cheaper relative, that you can do something like
You say
this.
that. I did not get my mixed cast on.
All right, so Lacie and I end up we have the same gear. We use almost the exact same gear, have some same setup.
And
Yeah.
that's thanks to you. So it came around full circle. I might have answered some questions in the beginning and then I turned to you
Well, I
for,
was I was lucky enough to go. It was a lot of fun to go up there and run sound. You wanted to test out the gear that we had before you invested in some, and so I brought my gear up and we did a couple of your podcasts, and I was able to play like I was Anna and be a sound engineer. And
yes. And it made me look good when my guests would come over. I'm like, okay, this is my sound guy, like it felt really good.
I had what was it? Where was I at? I can't remember. Was that a place? No, I was at our mechanic. I was dropping off our car, and I had your hat on. And she's like, what is that? What's that podcast? And I was like, oh, it's a friend of mine. She has her NFL podcast. And she said, oh, are you on it? And I was like, no. I said, well, actually, I do run sound for it every once in a while. And she's like, is that what you do for a living? I was like, no, but my daughter does.
There you go. See, it's a good conversational
Yeah,
piece, right?
yeah. Okay, so did you encounter any struggles or difficulties when you were getting started with getting stuff set up and doing your publishing and stuff like that?
Yeah. So to me, talking sports was easy. And when I thought, okay, I'll do a podcast, let me get, set up. And I just thought I was going to get behind a microphone and talk and that be it. I did not realize all the behind the scenes on getting it started, like as
Yeah,
far as just getting like, your pod host, just learning how to edit in general
yeah,
was a struggle for me. Hearing my voice for the first time and having to edit it, like it was all that stuff was crazy. And I actually go back and listen to my first episodes as to where I am now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Like, I felt like the quality was terrible. Like, I was too close to the microphone. Like, there was so many crazy things. But I don't know any better. I'm learning as I go. But I've been so proud of myself too, because
Yeah.
I'm self taught. I don't have a background in the technology stuff. I don't know much about technology outside. I mean, my son, my 12-year-old son, knows more than me.
Yeah.
He has to do stuff on my phone for me. So that's my biggest struggle, was just learning that side of it and then growing from there. But the content I didn't have difficulties with, but
Yeah.
the behind the scenes for
And
me.
and I guess that's one thing that I benefited from, was allowing you to blaze the trail. And so whenever I was trying to get set up with a host, I was like, well, what do you do? How do you do this and how do you do that? And get connected with, Spotify and all those things. And you were able to give me some tips on that. And so the setup for me was fairly easy. Now I'm kind of struggling with learning the different settings, or trying to, figure out all these different settings in the mixer and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I've kind of adopted a lot of the settings just out of the box, because I don't want to tweak anything. And so then this past weekend when Anna was in, we set up everything and we tested a different microphone, and she started making all these tweaks and stuff on the mixer, and I was
Are
like,
you trying to watch her to
okay.
see
And I
what?
was trying to watch her, and she's adjusting this back up, and I was like, okay, I'll have to mental note to turn that back down. And it was like, because I don't have any idea what she was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, that's what I feel like I was doing with you when you would do it. I was like, "What are you doing?" And that one time you left, and I thought I didn't have the
the file,
the file on
yeah,
there, and I was like, "You're gonna need to turn around."
yeah, it was, yeah. When Anna, she started, or well, let me back up. For those that are not aware, Anna is my middle daughter. She is a sound engineer, and we actually have a 3-part series you can go listen to on how she became a sound engineer. And so she was in visiting this past week, and she's getting ready to head to Europe because she tours with Metallica. And so we were able to get a week with her. She normally lives in Pennsylvania, so
Yes, I loved those episodes because
that
I'd
was
heard, like I followed you guys because I followed that, but I didn't know how it all got started. So I enjoyed every minute of that episodes.
she, yeah, that was a fun one to record. And it was, of course, we lived it,
Yeah.
and just going back through it and listening to everything and remembering, you know, each step, each of the different steps that she went through, and how she really excelled in each one. And it's really paid off for her. So we're very proud of her. So
Yeah.
as far as the topics that you discuss, so how do you come up with topics? So imagine during season, it's probably easy for you because the league pretty much, the results, the games, and every
Right.
week they kind of drive kind of what you're going to talk about. Is
Right.
that really, where you
Yeah,
take
so I
that from?
started in season and I would just talk about the week. So I would talk about the week leading up. And then obviously, once the season went going, I would talk about the results. I think the biggest thing with that during season, there is so much content to talk about. So you have the, there's a lot of big controversy or things like that. And then trying to condense that into one episode
Yeah,
was harder. And I don't have that luxury of really doing a 2-part because it falls into the next week.
yeah,
So the topics weren't hard. It was kind of condensing. The off season, obviously, this is my first off season, and I was a little worried. I was thinking I might have to dive into other sports, but I really wanted to keep the focus on football. And luckily, the NFL has really kept a lot of
oh
stuff
yeah.
in
With the
the.
combine and everything, it's almost year round, kind of like
Yeah,
club volleyball.
yeah, exactly. Everything's becoming year round these days, but there's just been so much with the free agency and spacing out. And then, just of recently, I was able to start getting some former NFL players
Yeah,
on the podcast, which has been awesome. I mean, it's like a dream. I'm kind of like geeking out on it, right? Like I'm so excited and having them and then hearing their experiences, and it just makes them feel more real. And
yeah,
it's just been really good. So the off season has actually been really enjoyable so far.
yeah. Do you like the break from it a little bit?
I do. I like the break just as far because I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan.
Mhm.
So I have the stress
So
of
you haven't had
each
much to
week.
talk about.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm doing an episode tomorrow about the Cowboys. It's been hard, but It's fine. It's still our year. It's still
Yeah,
our
yeah.
year.
Well, I'll be honest. We try to put out one episode a week, and here lately, it almost has kind of felt like a job,
It is.
and I didn't want it to be like that.
You're having fun.
But
Come
I am
on.
having fun, and I guess one good thing about ours is we don't have to worry about where you're doing based on like the results of a given NFL week
Right.
or weekend. Our topics can be we can talk about those anytime. So
Hmm.
as an example, this past weekend we designated just a couple hours while we had all the girls in town and recorded 2 episodes back to back. And
That's
so
awesome.
we can get ours. We can record. Sometimes I think we've done up as many as 3 in one session, and then we just schedule them. And so it's like, okay, we got 3 recorded. We can take a couple of weeks off,
See, that
and
is good.
so we're not dependent upon. I can see where it might get stressful
It
having
does
to put
because
one
I
out.
have to, because you think about NFL has Thursday night football and Monday night football. So I can't do anything until Tuesday and it
Yeah,
has to be released before Thursday,
yeah,
or I'm not talking about current events at that point. So it's fast. So I have enjoyed that in the off season because I can record things and spread it out more and kind of go on my timeline. So that's been really nice.
yeah. I've actually considered maybe doing. Amy was like, "Do you think we ought to just do one a month?" And I was like, "No, I think we could do more than that." And I'm still I'm stubborn, so I'm still thinking one a week. But then the more I start having to try to plan some of these recordings and stuff, and get everybody in place and things like that, then I thought maybe once every 2 weeks. I don't know. So the one that we're recording now is gonna. It's what is today? Today's March or
10th,
April the
April 10th.
10th.
Yeah.
This one's gonna publish on May 1st. So
Okay.
we got a little bit of a breather because the 2 we did with Anna and everybody in this past weekend will be the next 2 that come out. So
And the good with you, for the most part, I know I'm a guest on today and you do have guests, but mostly it's your family talking. That's been a struggle for me too, is trying to coordinate guests and
yeah,
times and things like that. So that's kind of been, especially with volleyball as well,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah,
So,
the full time job. Yeah,
yes. But it does feel like a full-time job.
yeah.
But I'm excited because I want it to be my full-time job.
Well, yeah, and we'll get to that.
Okay,
We'll
sorry,
get to that
sorry.
in just
I'm
a little
jumping
bit.
ahead.
All right. So, what has been your most popular episode thus far? However you want to measure it.
Yeah, I feel like I've loved all my episodes. I mean, I'm not just saying that sounds terrible. I love all my episodes, but I I've enjoyed every episode. I've had amazing guests on. I've had sports enthusiasts. Obviously, I said the NFL players. I think it was really when I hit, and it sounds terrible because Cowboys weren't in the postseason except for that first game. But the debates and the talks and just how elevated the games get in the postseason, it just became really good talk.
Yeah,
So those and those actually were the most popular. I had a lot of people tuning in for those, and that was always good to see. And then of course afterwards, we've had a lot of buzz with the former NFL players coming on.
yeah,
I think it's just always fun to hear someone that's lived it.
yeah. I kind of thought when we started recording ours that I thought the series we did with Anna was probably going to be the most popular.
Hmm.
And maybe it's not because there was 3 of them. I mean, when we recorded with her it was she was dialing in or calling in from Lidditz, and so we were on the phone with her for 2 hours doing that one, and then we just chopped it up in 3 episodes, and so maybe that's. I mean, it's still gotten a good number of listens, but surprisingly, my niece, the one we did with her, how and her husband met, the part 1, we did a 2-part series on that. The first part has just it just blew up. I mean,
That's awesome.
definitely probably not male listeners,
Are you
but
sure it wasn't the screaming laugh episode?
oh boy, I tell you what, if I could go back and redo any episode, it would have been that one.
My gosh,
Just
I
because
still need to hear this.
the way I rambled on at the beginning of that episode, that was our very first. You're talking about how you go back and listen to some of your old
Isn't it
episodes.
crazy when you go back?
Yeah, and I remember watching home videos, and hearing myself talk and just telling Amy, like, I'm never going to talk on camera again. I just hate my voice. And then, of course, next thing I'll think, hey, let's start a podcast, where it's only my voice. That's just how everything, how weird everything gets. So, okay. So I remember you telling me one time, and I've had to live this rule.
Yeah.
How often do you look at your stats?
I knew you were going to ask me this. So, like I said, I'm self-taught everything. So it was a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of talk. And when I looked at the stuff, they said, look, if you're sitting there staring at stats every single day, your podcast will not be successful because that's what you'll be fixated on and you
Yeah.
won't be like passionate for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So if you're passionate when you're doing your podcast, then what your expectations are for your stats will come along. So of course I didn't listen all the time. I mean, when you have it, you're excited about it and you just want to see if other people are excited or kind of, even
Yeah.
I use Buzzsprout,
Yeah. I
but
use Podbean.
yeah, and they show you even what cities that they're listening from.
Yeah, that was one of the knocks on Podbean is that their reporting and stuff wasn't as good or as robust. But I thought, well, maybe that's a good thing because I don't need to be looking at the numbers, that much anyway. So I remember you telling me that, and so I probably look at them. We're still relatively new into this and learning a lot of stuff, and this is actually episode number 12, and I think it's more out of curiosity. I look at it probably at least once a day, and the one thing that I like to look at is the different countries.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just fun. And
Yeah,
for me, when I talk about sports, and I'm like honed in on San Francisco 49ers game.
yeah,
I look and there's a lot of people in the Bay Area that tune in.
yeah,
So it's just I like seeing that, right?
yeah.
Like either
Well,
they like me or not, but they want to hear about their team.
our show is kind of in our description. I leveraged the description of the Seinfeld show that a show about nothing. So I don't expect any city to just really blow up or anything. When we release an episode, but I find it interesting to look at the different countries. I think we've got 14 different countries and they a lot of them probably may have clicked on it by accident, but hey,
But I think
chalk
that's
up the
what
number.
makes
So,
yours so interesting. For me, you have to love sports or listen, right? Like
yeah,
that's the crowd that I'm doing. I think what sets me a little bit apart is because I'm a female talking about a male sport, driven
yeah.
sport. But for you, you have something different and you can connect with so many people and like I think it's brilliant what you're doing.
Well,
I
we've
really
kind
do.
of, we started going through the list of stories that we had, and we're like, okay, if we're doing one a week, we're going to run out of, our list is going to go, this list is going to evaporate. So that's why we kind of expanded it to extended family, like my niece
Hmm.
and my nephew, the one that dropped, the episode that dropped today about the 3,000-mile bike ride that he did. It's insane. I mean, he went from the U.S. Canada border, rode mountain bike down to the U.S. Mexico border, and the the different weather that he had to. I mean, going through the mountains and stuff. You could have desert one day, and then you could have swirling winds, and I mean, it's just crazy. So go check that out. So
I know I haven't had a chance to I've listened to all of them so far, but they're so interesting. Like you have a bike one week, you
yeah,
have,
it's
I love that it's so like you just touch everything. So
there's and then
great.
and outside of our family, I'm probably gonna have some friends on from school. I actually Amy and I got a text from someone from my senior class who texted me, and it felt so great getting that text message just saying that they were listening and that they were really enjoying it. And so it was just like, wow, that kind of gave me a boost of energy.
It does.
And
I love that. Like when people like tell you, and
yeah,
then, but I do feel like at some point down the road, I do feel like you have a story about football, right? That you will talk about the
oh
call.
yes, yes, we do have one. Yeah,
Not to give any spoilers,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we do
My
connect on the football episode at one
that's my
point.
brush with greatness, NFL
I think
greatness
that was the
there.
first thing you said when you came over,
Yeah,
like to tell me.
I got to tell you about this. This. So yeah, our NFL brush with greatness. We'll have to have
It's
that
going to
on
be a good one. Make sure you
segment on
listen to
pretty
that
soon.
one.
So
Yeah,
it's actually kind of crazy
that is
how
crazy.
that worked out. So okay, so how many episodes have you published? Do you
I'm at 27.
27? Okay.
Hmm.
So, what would you say has been the most important thing that you've learned so far after doing all those?
I feel like I learn something every single time. I kind of see where one, I know I need to shorten my episodes. So I love to talk, and especially when I talk about something I'm passionate about, and I want to try to keep it lower. So I do try to learn to carp. I can't even say that word.
Compartmentalize?
Thank you. See, can't say it. But I just meant like I try to, I want to make sure that it stays the interesting. So I have learned to get better with that. Obviously, I have learned that you showed me better equipment.
That was the blind leading the blind.
But I only blame you because I text you all the time now when I ask questions. But no, I'm just joking. But I mean, I feel like you're always going to learn. It's just like sports, right? When you're doing something, you're just constantly learning and growing because
Yeah.
it keeps growing. So I think there's something to learn
Yeah. I
at
remember, I
everything.
remember when we started, when we started ours, I said, let's just try to keep it 20 to 25 minutes. And I think the first two, maybe three episodes were like that. And then everything's been 35, 40. And
Well, if you remember when you came over that one time, the first time when
yeah,
you were doing the sound for me and you were looking at it, and I think we were hitting like 50 something
we're
minutes.
getting close.
And when we downloaded the file to the computer, you're like, I've never done it. Like it ended up being two files.
Splitting into two files. Yeah. That was like a sudden panic,
That was great.
I guess for us, what we've learned is to just have fun. It's time with the family that we're getting to share these stories. Don't worry about the numbers because again, it's kind of like an audio diary for us. And if we do kind of get some little following, people listening, great. If we don't, then that doesn't, that's fine too. The thing I'd like to try to learn more is using some of the stuff that trying to take some knowledge from Anna, and because I think I'm just scratching the surface with what this mixer can do,
I think so too.
and and using Audacity and try to use learn about frequencies and all this stuff, and just try to make the sound better. It may for someone who's not trained in it, that's just listening, they may not be able to tell a difference, but it's for me it's interesting too. I don't consider it a waste by knowing it if somebody can't tell the difference between a good file and a bad file, but
Yeah.
it's just something I want to learn. So okay, so do you have any plans to expand to college football or other sports? Because the title of your podcast would make it very easy to include other sports.
So that's one of the reasons I made, outside of it sounding cool, Lacey's lineup, right?
Yeah.
Like it flows. I wanted to keep it open because I do enjoy watching all sports. Not all sports. I might lose listeners here, but I don't like hockey or
Oh,
soccer.
no hockey?
I know, and you love hockey.
Yeah.
I can never see the puck.
Okay.
Like it's too fast for me. I don't know. And then soccer, all they do is run, and I hate
Yeah.
running. So those two things. But I decided to stick with football. But I am happy to say that college football will be a part of my lineup in the fall.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So
And I think I've already given you a name, or I told you about someone. If you ever need somebody for Tennessee Vols or
yeah.
Tennessee Titans, that those two episodes that we published, the Alex and Christian, episode 2,
Okay.
part 2, Christian.
Oh yeah.
It's from that's the one. He's the one. He's your Tennessee. Anything Tennessee, you can.
Yeah, because I
count on
love
him.
college football. I think it's just as fun to watch. And I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan, and they're going to the SEC.
That's really going to be cool.
So I think it's going to be really fun to
Spicy.
talk about that journey, even though I don't think it's going to be a good first year. Alabama, LSU. Oof.
Yeah, as far as expansion for us, we're already doing it a little bit. We're expanding outside of our family. I've got a high school friend named Mark who has these outrageous stories. He's one of these guys. He'll post a story. You'll see it post a story on Facebook, and it's one of those that's really long, and you read through it, and or you see a post on Facebook, and you'll read through a story, and you'll find out at the end it's crazy. It's a crazy story. It's insane, and then you find out at the very end that it was fake. Well, his aren't fake. He's just got some crazy, insane stories. So I've already talked to him. He's in the middle of building a house right now. So We're going to have him later on, have him on later on in the summer. So, and I've actually got a class reunion coming up,
So do
35,
I.
35-year class reunion coming up June
Mine's
1st.
20.
Okay. So maybe I ought to take some equipment with me
You
to,
should. I'm going to Philly next week, and I'm taking mine.
are you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I might be doing a interview with an Eagles coach.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, it's really hard for me
Yeah,
to say that.
that'll
But
be, yeah, that'll be very difficult.
yeah.
So, all right. So where would you like to ultimately take your podcast? What's your end state vision?
I mean, like I said before, I would love for this to be my full-time job, whether it's, you know, making, I don't know. I just would love to do this full time. My ultimate goal would probably be to go full cowboy,
Okay.
go full Dallas Cowboy coverage,
Mm-hmm.
the good, the bad, the ugly. But I want to keep growing. I would love to have like my own studio and really just start having, those guests on. I mean, I would love to make it my career.
Okay.
I really would.
Cool. Yeah. As far as us, I don't. Maybe it would be cool if we can get up to the point where we have a little bit of merch like you do. I'd be happy. Like I said earlier, if we have a little bit of a following, fine. If we don't, fine. But the main thing for us is that we're having fun and we're getting to spend time with the family and extended family. Recording some of these. So okay, so what would be your dream episode to record?
I feel like you can guess this,
I
right?
have a very good idea.
Well, that's the thing. I am starting to get former NFL players on here, and I'm hoping that's opening me doors to get to my dream episode, which is a Dallas Cowboy player.
Yeah.
Multiple. I mean, I live in the area. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
2 miles from a lot of Cowboy players. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's easy to come to. So if you're out there and listening, I really, really, really want a Dallas Cowboy player to be on my team
That would
or on
that
my
would
show.
that would be cool. I might have to come up and run sound for that one.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're going to Oxnard though with me, right?
oh yeah,
Training camp.
yeah. We need to. I need to talk
We're going to
about.
leave this Texas heat. Go out
Yes.
to Oxnard.
Yeah. I would gladly do that.
Yeah.
I think for me, the dream episode, and I'll be a little cheesy here. I think I've already done it because it was this past weekend, just having all my girls there and having all of us in one spot. Because with Anna traveling the world, we don't get her here very often, and so we were able to get all three. We had all three girls there. Amy was there, and so. But I'll play along with my own question. So, my dream episode, I'm gonna have to go with the man crush and go with Mark Wahlberg, I guess.
That would be great. Were you a fan of Wahlburgers, the restaurant?
It was okay.
Oh, okay.
We went. Now Audrey loved their mac and cheese.
Mm.
Thought it was.
I thought their burgers are great. I liked them.
I can't remember we went once, and
But Marky Mark, I'm a fan of Marky Mark
Yeah.
too. So I'll do your sound on that episode.
Okay. I know when Amy listens to this episode, she's gonna like, really? But I was thinking about it earlier today, and I was thinking, okay, Mark Wahlberg and maybe Russell Crowe, because Gladiator is my all-time favorite movie, all time.
All time.
Yeah, and so I love Gladiator, and then
Mine's Ace Ventura.
really,
Yeah. Jim Carrey, I can quote the whole thing. So we can make that a next episode if you'd like
Okay.
to hear the best quotes from
Yeah.
Ace Ventura.
and then I thought, I want one more, and then Gene Hackman. I'd love to have him. Have those three there. That would be.
See, this is the new generation. Back when we were growing up, it was who would you invite to dinner? Now it's who would
Yeah.
you have on your
Yeah. Okay, so the NFL draft is coming up April 25th through the 27th. Do you have any special coverage or that you want to promote or tease?
I don't want to give too much away because it's still in the works, so I want to make sure I finalize it. But I have been working, so my goal for the draft is to go live at the draft in Dallas, not Detroit, but at the Star.
Yeah.
And I will be introducing video.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to add video with audio.
Okay.
So you'll be there because you'll be running the video.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
checking.
That's good for me
I've been
to
doing
know.
my stuff. I still will do audio, but I want to
Yeah.
add video to it. And I think on draft day, it'll be nice because, the star will be in the background.
Yeah. Okay. I think I might just let you blaze this trail also, and then if we ever want to add audio or add video to ours, I'll have to just leverage off of your knowledge.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
okay, so what this is kind of I wrote this one in. You don't. This is not on your list.
Oh,
What do the Cowboys need?
oh gosh. Do you have your beep button ready? Beep button. Everything. We don't even have a full roster right now. Like, what is happening? And now there's talk of CeeDee Lamb holding out for a contract.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So I really don't know. Micah Parson trade rumors. Like now everyone's trying to tell me that we're going to trade one of those guys to go higher up in the draft pick
That would be
and get
insane.
Marvin Harrison Jr. as the latest.
Okay.
You can't let go. We literally are holding on with not even double-sided tape. I mean, it's just regular Scotch tape at this point.
I haven't been. I don't follow it a whole lot, but I know that sounds crazy.
And the thing is Jerry Jones has never did a lot in the offseason or traded,
Mhm.
but we've never lost this many people in
Yeah.
one season. That's what scares me.
Okay. But it's still your year.
It's still my year.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be in New Orleans doing the Super Bowl coverage.
We'll
So
be on Radio Row.
yeah, there we go.
That would be cool.
That's my dream too.
There you go.
I forgot. Let's add that back
Yeah,
up there
okay.
too. So you're eating with Mark Wahlberg. I'm doing this at the Super Bowl.
Okay, so for someone considering doing a podcast, what advice would you give them?
If you're considering doing it, don't wait like Steven and just go.
You stole my answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, we think alike now. We're just starting to get there. But if it's your passion, like, do it. I am so happy that I took this leap. I'm so happy that I'm doing what I love. It brings me joy. It is so fun learning and growing with it. And you get to meet so many interesting people. You get to talk about, because obviously, if you're doing a podcast, it's over something that you love or that entertains you. So
Yeah.
do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I would echo all of that. And, you don't have to dive headfirst in like I did and buy hundreds of dollars worth of gear. Just, use your phone, get a little lav mic that you can,
Yeah.
plug into that. And then all the different hosts have, either free options where you can have a few episodes out there or, free trials and stuff. So, yeah, I would say don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't sit on it like we did. And go cheap first. And then if you figure out it is something that you want to do, then start maybe investing in.
Yeah. And if
some other
it's
people.
not, you can always change your podcast to something different. I
Yeah.
mean, it's yours.
It's yours. You can do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want, but do it. It is so rewarding. I think it's rewarding. I feel like you enjoy it as well.
We've had fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, when it starts feeling like a job, then, we might have to take a break for a little bit or take a few weeks off. But so far it's been fun. So we actually Angela and I I'm taking her down to Waco this weekend. She wants to see a friend, and so I told her, I was like, what is it, hour and a half to Waco or two, something
Almost.
like that. I said,
hour and a
we've
half
got
too.
X amount of time in the car. I ought to just bring my lav mic because I have gadgets
Mhm.
and plug it into my phone, and let's just do a car episode, and
That'd be fun.
figure out something to talk about. So who knows? That
Was
might
she on board?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
She's gonna have to spend time with me regardless, so she might as well talk about something that she likes.
There you go.
So
I'm sure you'll find us. You guys will come back with some type of story
Well,
that happened
yeah.
in Waco.
yeah, we'll come back with something. Yeah, it's crazy how interesting things find us. So.
I love it. I think it's great.
Well, Lacie, I appreciate you jumping on with us. Everybody, check out Lacie's lineup. It's a great podcast. There's ways to support her if you so choose, and she's even got some merch available. You're available on all the major podcasting platforms, right?
Yes, we are on everything. I have my Facebook page. If you look up Lacey's Lineup Podcast, every social media, you will be able to find me.
Excellent. All right. Well, Lacie, we appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been great.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us today. We thank you for listening and joining us. If you have any questions or have feedback on the podcast, you can email us at podcast@hensonfamily.me, podcast@hensonfamily.me, and don't forget, adopt, don't shop. Thanks for listening.